Hey, all my crafty friends, I am coming on live before I put you on fast forward. I know I asked the question if you guys like longer videos. Some of you do, some of you don't, and that's okay. So in order for me to kind of appease everybody, I am going to come on live, tell you my thought process, and then I will put you on fast forward. So my idea was, I have this photograph that I've already scrapbooked in my daughter's album, but now I'm working in my son's album, and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to use. I looked everywhere of all, the right collection. Nothing was really grabbing me, but this one was. And so I started looking. I thought, let me just try to use up as much as I can, and then because not all of it is geared for like a newborn baby. I could definitely make this work. But looking through it, I realized that I am very limited as far as the color palette. I pretty much have just this to work with, this darker teal and a lighter, like a mint to it. But the salmon color, I really didn't have any papers that went with that. So I went through some papers and I found this collection here by My Mind's Eye. Yeah, and it's the Now and Then. This I had, and I saw a lot of the salmon that was, repeating throughout this collection. And I thought, okay, this could work and I can maybe incorporate. But then as I started looking at it, I realized that, let me just put this aside here, that, wait a minute, I have these loose papers, and you all know I like a good challenge for myself. I had these loose scrap pieces of paper, and I thought to myself, what if I use my scrap papers only? And so looking at this, this is obviously going to compete with this one, so I'm not going to use that. I'd rather use the viewfinder versus the keys. This I felt was going in a kind of a different direction than what I really wanted it to be. So I don't want to really use the blue, and everything else is whole sheets, and I don't have very much of this paper. I actually use this paper pad quite a bit to incorporate with other collections that I have in my stash. So putting that off to the side, I felt that these were the papers I'm going to use. I know, I'm challenging myself, and I wasn't sure. I really liked this one, especially because it had a journaling little sections that I could cut up. And I thought about using this side because it's very like a plain background to me. The pattern is not too loud as far as, being a whole piece for a background. But I felt like it would get lost not only with the white paper, but the paper that I'm actually going to use. I'm going to use this one. I really am wanting to incorporate more pattern paper in my background. So it gets completely washed out when I put it up at here. So then I was like, okay, so I know, let me just go back to what really I wanted to use, which is this one right here. I always say grab the most colorful piece of paper or embellishment, and that's how you're going to start building up your stash for using products for your layout. So on that note, and I only had these papers, I thought to myself, gosh, I really love the salmon and the green that it's in here. That's kind of what I'm going to need in order to back up my mat up my photo. Now this is why, guys, I don't get rid of anything because it always ends up, I find something to go with. 2005 collection by Basic Gray. These are, I think they were the first company besides Chatterbox that came out with actual paper collections. Bought every single one of them, and then the online store that I was ordering from had all the Basic Gray that would match with the collection. Now this one's Fusion and this one is called Sublime, but I have the Fusion collection as well. And so I have all this pattern paper, and look. This is from 2005. This is from, who knows, 2014. So almost 10 years later, 9 years later, and look at the perfect match that I have with those. I mean, you cannot get any closer than that. And this is why I don't throw anything away, because I love it. I love that when I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't even have to go to the store and buy something. I already have it in my stash. I just had to look farther and longer than I would have, wanted to, but that's okay. It saved me money. But this is what I'm going to do. So here is what I have to work with. This is it. These are the papers that I'm going to work with my layout. I don't have any other embellishments yet in mind. I will look to see if I have anything that will complement what I have here. And then I will look for some letter stickers and put this layout together. So let's go ahead and do that. So the first thing I want to do is I want to grab my metal dies. I grab a circle die and a label maker. Both are by Spellbinder. I don't invest a whole lot in dies because first of all, they're expensive, but if I can give you a tip, this would be the one that I use, and that is I buy only basic shapes and labels because those I can use over and over again, and they just, I mean, they'll always that create a different look. And so that is why I only stick to those type of shapes. So I grab a, like I said, my circle die, and I wanted to create more embellishments, and that viewfinder was going to be the perfect way to do that. So once I placed my photo down, I then looked behind on what viewfinders were behind it, and then I die cut 3 viewfinders, and then I also grabbed my label maker and I grabbed the green polka dot paper in order to have my label die cut. And then now I'm starting to place everything down. And I don't know why this is, but I have noticed out of all of my finished layouts and going back through them, you know, doing especially album shares, that whenever I want to create a ton of layers, I am most successful when I have a 6x6 paper as my base page. I don't know why, it's just only on that one, but I don't also want to do that over and over again because then they're going to all look the same. I mean, look, if you were to compare the 3 or 4 times I've done this, they are all different. But I know that if I was to do this over and over again, my pages would start looking very repetitive. So anyways, I'm just glad that I was able to do it this time. I did grab a My Mind's Eye chipboard piece that worked perfectly. It says love this on a pinking shape, and I'm just creating that little bit of layers right there. And then I went through the scraps that I had, those little itty bitty scraps that I saved, and I took that one that is the orange diagonal stripe, and I just make a fishtail banner to go underneath that. Now, I did have the paper on the left-hand side, and you saw me move it over to the right-hand side, and here's why. When I first put that pinking chipboard piece down by my son, I felt like everything was too cluttered over there. I had all of that white space in that photo, and I thought to myself, that is the perfect placement for my embellishments because I have so much free space right there. And so and what I had to do in order to achieve that is move everything over, kind of mirror it to the right hand side. And then now I could place all of my embellishment clusters on the left hand side. So like I said in the very beginning of my photo, I wanted to map my photo with this salmon paper. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that down. It was very easy to follow the grooves because this paper, they don't make this anymore. It is basically almost like it's scored, but not enough to where you can bend it, but it's very lightly scored. It just creates just enough texture, and I really wish that Basic Ray would kind of come back with that type of look because it is just awesome. And also when I was starting to look at my embellishments, especially that one that says love this, I realized that it looked like it had ink edging, ink on the edges. And I thought, okay, I need to make this a very cohesive look if I, with that one embellishment. And so I just went and took my Hickory Smoke by Tim Holtz Distress Ink. I definitely need a bigger size of that. That's actually one of my favorite colors. What's so funny is I was trying to buy things small in order to create more space. Don't get me wrong, I love my little minis, but from now on I'm purchasing bigger stamps. It's just funny how you start, think one way, and as you move on scrapbooking, you kind of change a little bit as far as what you like to use. I won't get rid of it because I have it until it's gone. That's when I will probably purchase a new one, but until then I will use what I have. All right, I don't want to keep repeating on what I did in the very beginning. So I'm going to glue everything off camera, but I wanted to build this up one more time because now I want to create layers behind other things. So I go back to the original sticker sheet that I wanted to use, which was by Crepe Paper. I had this half circle that was actually that I'd used on a previous project. And so you really can't see what it says. And then I had this other one that it said baby love. I thought about trying to show that where it says baby love, but then I realized I'm trying to create layers here. So I cover it up. It doesn't matter to me that there's only going to be a piece of the bee showing and you can't read it. That's not what it's there for. It's there for pops of colors and adding more layers to it. I go back to that chipboard piece from that same collection, and I was just trying to decide which one I want to use. Even though this collection is geared for baby, you know, my son looking at this photos, you know, even though I already done his baby album, he truly was still a baby, and so was my daughter. Like, I look at him now and I look back on photos and I thought to myself, well, how did I not think he was still a baby? Yes, he wasn't a newborn baby, but he was still a baby. I mean, he's still dependent on me. You know, he's so little. And so I don't mind using stuff like this for his, you know, going on 2 to 3, I think is this album. I think he's turning, yeah, 2 to 3. And so, again, just found, I love the rocking horse. Even though he didn't have that rocking horse, I had something kind of similar, but mine were on springs. And so I just wanted to add that, and I thought it was perfect. Okay, this was my original title. Like, I knew when I saw this word adorable, I needed to incorporate it in my title somehow. And that's when I came up with You Two Are Adorable. I struggled with this and I thought about putting it at the top, but then I felt like the colors from the viewfinder were just too much. So then I thought, well, let me create a largest that I can go with my label die cuts. I may be creating like a little solid layer piece that might kind of ground it a little bit more. And when I put the word adorable on there, I still didn't like that. So then I finally placed that green label maker on the right hand side, again, creating more labels, and it kind of give balance to the polka dot paper that you see on the left. I then thought about using and placing the word adorable on the bottom where the yellow diagonal paper was, but it just felt like all the clusters were just focused right there and nowhere else on the layout, and I didn't like that. It was getting too congested for me. So I put it off to the side thinking, okay, I guess I'm just not going to have a title. It's just going to be Love This. I go and I put my stamp underneath my photo, and I knew while I was slowly placing that stamp down on that paper, Desiree, I don't like that style anymore. I don't like it directly right there. I prefer to have the stamp on the bottom right. But what do? I connect with that paper and I stamp it. And I'm like, oh, why? My style has changed. So I go to my phrase stickers, easy fix, grab a couple phrase stickers, place that underneath, glue it down, and you will never know that that's where it was. As you can see, I did add it to the right hand corner, like I said. I even do a little ghost or second and third generation stamping, and I like that much better. That's when I step away. I come back an hour later to my layout, and lo and behold, I was like, it's ledger paper. Have it up at the top and have it separated. It doesn't need to connect. And there you have it. There is my title. All right, everybody, thank you so much for joining me today. I do hope that you enjoyed this layout. If you did, if you don't mind giving me a thumbs up, I appreciate it. And if you are new to my channel, I do hope you consider subscribing, and you all have an amazing day. Bye.